What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How's everybody doing out there on this Thursday, June 1st of 2023? Before we get into all the fun stuff, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes, spread this word of mouth, find us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. Just go search there, give us a follow on everywhere, interact, because we are interactive. I made a trade this week, and it is an awful trade, honestly. I absolutely got hosed. We traded having a guest this week for bringing David back. Now, I want to go back on this trade yesterday. Dave, you're here. Hi.
It's a very unfortunate trade.
It's
Possibly
awful.
the worst trade of all trade deals. But
This is definitely worse than the Nets when they did the KG. Like, this is awful.
I'm having a good week, though. I'm having a very good week and a very good past couple days, honestly. But I will talk about that in the future if the good things continue.
So yeah, all things considered, but I'm happy you're back. You weren't feeling too great last week, so happy you're feeling better that you're back here. But yeah, our guest fell through, but that's always okay because we're here, we do our thing. And I just want to talk about last week's show before we get into this week's, because last week we had our good buddy, Brandon Scoopy Robinson. Again, David couldn't be on with us, but Scoop was on with us and I'm with me, and it was a great time. We talked all things basketball, Melo's retirement, Kyrie kind of doing his thing and breaking the internet, talking about his shoe deal. And then we talked finals, things like that. So it was really good. Always a blast having Scoop on. He's so supportive of the show, great friend of the show. So please go give that one a listen. This week, Dave, we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk a little bit of politics, and we're going to get a little nerdy, right? We're going to have a good time. So I want to jump in right away. Today, Joe Biden has fallen again. And unlike some of the other falls,
Fallen.
The bike fall was tough because the bike fall was a legitimate fall. Even though if anyone's ever fallen off their bike the way Biden did, it was kind of that slow, lost my balance kind of type of thing. So not as bad. This one was bad. This one, he was at the Air Force commencement ceremony. Was whoever it was walked away from him, and he was supposed to go turn and leave. And it looks like he tripped on like a sandbag or something, or even, I don't know what it was, but it was something on the ground, and he went down hard. And anyone that has a grandparent, that's a medical situation when an elderly person falls the way he did. He was picked up by Secret Service. Apparently he's okay, which, if you're human, you want Joe Biden to be okay, right? We don't wish death upon anyone. Like, we get pretty vitriolic. I get it. Joe Biden's a Marxist. We don't want him to succeed, but we don't want the guy to croak by falling. That's scary as hell. And even scarier prospect of Kamala stepping in, even though it's kind of, you go both ways here, Dave. For me, when you look at this, how many more times does it have to go before you actually consider the 25th out of a humane option for this guy?
Well, I mean, listen, obviously it's not a good thing that he fell, but it's also to the point where it's like, yeah, no shit, I don't want him to get hurt, but how much am I going to care about this if the people that prop him up don't care about this at all? Like, they obviously don't care about this at all. They've shown that the whole way through. They will consistently, okay, he fell today, and they'll probably bring up when someone else fell at one point in their goddamn life just to say, oh, it's not that bad. So it's yeah, I don't want the guy to fall. I don't want the guy to get hurt. I just want him out of office because he's doing terrible things. But it's, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to care very much about this? I can't.
Yeah. You're not wrong. And like, they have Fetterman, they have Feinstein.
Yeah, it's
like, they're a party of brain dead people. Not gonna lie. Like, and physically impaired. Like, Dianne Feinstein can't walk because she's old. I mean, the closest thing that the Republicans have to brain dead is Mitt Romney. Like, that is absolutely the closest thing because he's just retarded. But that's the closest thing they have. So, but overall, happy the president's okay, because hate him or not, the man's the president. So happy the president's okay. But I mean, Jesus, just don't run again, Joe. You can't walk. So how you gonna run? I also want to say politically, fuck Kevin McCarthy. Flat out, we were right, Dave. We were right when the whole thing was going on. The 20 plus people that stood up that wouldn't vote for him. was correct. I heard Chip Roy today, Dave. He said that if they can't kill this debt ceiling stuff, that they are going to really reconsider leadership, which there is the clause in there that I think it's only 5 of the members need to have a vote of no confidence, and then they can redo the speakership vote, which let's go. This is a clause for it. They had Joe Biden and the Democrats by the balls, and what did you do? You didn't get anything. There is no cap through 2025. They could spend as much as they want. The number is like 4 to 6 trillion that they have. They're going to spend more than that. They're going to spend more than that. And what they get? They got age advance on SNAP. They didn't touch Medicaid at all. They didn't do shit. The REINS Act was taken out, which people, if you don't know what the REINS Act is, if any of the 3-letter agencies or letter agencies put in a dictate, it's not even a law. It's not voted on, but it's like when OSHA was trying to do things during COVID, it's not a law, but they can enforce it as a law. If they do anything that would have an economic impact of 100 million or more, it automatically gets kicked back to Congress to get voted on. They took that out. So, I mean, it's terrible. It's once again,
they're doing
they're weak.
What Republicans always, I could go for the fucking whole podcast saying always. It's what they do consistently. This is a consistent thing. There is no surprise here. I don't know why people would act like they're surprised. I don't know why people would be taken aback by what Republicans are doing. Because let's be honest, it doesn't necessarily matter who's in office anyway. You know, why would Republicans ever care about ever act like they care about the debt in the first place? They don't care about the fucking debt. Trump spent as much as possible, which
gets a minor asterisk because of COVID. Yes,
before COVID, he spent a lot.
Yeah, but I think it was at 8 trillion with COVID. So
yeah,
but
the thing is, the man still spent a ton before COVID.
He did.
And Republicans didn't fucking care then either.
No.
So that's the thing. You have no principles on debt, so why act like you fucking do? And they never do anything against damn near anyone in power.
No.
It doesn't matter if it's Democrats or another fucking Republican. They don't do anything.
Well, the Democrats will do things against a Republican in power because they don't care.
Yeah, no, it's the Republicans do nothing.
No, they don't.
Literally nothing.
They do things against Republicans in power. They'll do it against themselves.
Yeah.
Like they railroaded Trump as much as anybody when they were there. So yeah, it's ridiculous. Like there is a group that is standing strong. I'm curious to see how people like Jim Jordan and Marjorie Taylor Greene respond because they voted for Kevin McCarthy the whole time. So where are you going to be principled now? Are you going to join Biggs? Are you going to join, Chip Roy, Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz, like a strong group of guys? Gosar, I believe, was a part of that. Of the 20, you guys say that you're a part of the American First Right. You can't be a part of the American First Right and now support Speaker McCarthy after this. Like, you got to now go along with everyone else. And I think they really should reconvene and make this an anybody but McCarthy type of thing. They really should, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. Honestly, I haven't paid a ton of attention to genuine politics in a minute.
Yeah, and I know the Senate's voting on it tonight, and I know Michael Lee vowed to raise hell over it, so we'll find out. And Michael Lee raising hell is just going to be like, this is unconstitutional. So Michael Lee is not a very fiery individual, but raising hell to him would just be like bringing up legitimate salient points.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. And the last thing politically, Dave, I want to bring up is
no problem.
Twitter. That hellscape that is Twitter. Team Trump versus Team DeSantis might be the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It is the dumbest thing I've ever seen for multiple reasons. First reason, Team DeSantis needs to stop because he can't win. How could they not realize this after the announcement? How could they not realize this after listening to him? Dave, the more I listen to him, I like him as policies. He's a good governor. He's a monotone Kermit the Frog. I could not. I'll vote for him if he gets the nomination, right? Because he's better than literally anybody on the left.
Yes.
But he is Jeb Bush. He is McCain. He is Romney in that sense. Maybe his policies are different. but he is that boring
as a breadstick.
Political.
Yeah,
he is a breadstick. And, Milo Yiannopoulos said it perfect on Timcast. He's like when you reach it for something and you can't really see, and then you touch it and it's extremely moist and gross. That is his charisma. Like, like he's like a wet, moist towel that you didn't mean to touch. He's not charismatic, and he's going to get destroyed by either Trump. And if he somehow gets by Trump, Joe Biden will beat Ron DeSantis.
I don't know about that.
100%.
I don't know if Joe could speak by the time that would happen.
He doesn't need to. Who's going to listen to DeSantis? He's on fire.
It is a consistent, genuine difficulty for leaders in any time, almost any time, to not be charismatic. The only time where leaders are perfectly fine to be just stable not charismatic is when things are going pretty damn well.
Yes.
That's when they're okay with that. You cannot, that's not something people clamor for when things are going wrong. It just isn't. Maybe it's best that people do, but it's just not what happens. It's not what history shows us.
No, you're right. And, and just it has to do, it's not what he says. Because I'm going to, I like Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis has been a fantastic Florida governor. And I've said before,
I don't dislike him. No,
foreign policy, we need to see, because what I've heard kind of scares me. Mm-hmm. What can he do with the country? Florida's very different than the country, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like just the delivery. You can't deliver things, and I'm kind of stealing this from Tim Pool because I listen to Tim. But when you deliver his speech, when he's saying, we're in peril, we need to get things done, the border is really open right now. We cannot continue to live like this. You must fight. Like, who cares about that? The border is wide open. We need to fight right now. This is the time. Joe Biden is where he's not capable of it. It doesn't seem like the most you get is his eyebrow raises. Like, I know, like it's tough. I can't see him winning. I can't.
Yeah, it is really tough. And maybe we're misreading what people really want, but a lot of people, I feel like, made the judgment that, they really wanted to go back to normalcy, and that's why they picked Biden. I disagree with that entirely. I think if you actually looked at the general election in the first place, it might have been on par with as bad as picking Clinton or Trump, if that's how you felt. Yep. And so I don't see how people thought in general that was a return to normalcy. It was just a return to not Trump. That's all it was, which I guess is normalcy, but really isn't. It's not.
Trump drove so many people crazy that they wanted to go back to politicians who we always knew lied to us. Like, it's when we're I hate that we talk about the moral character of politicians. They're all fucking liars. Yeah. Like, top to bottom, we just want the one that's going to fuck us the least and maybe do a few things. Mm-hmm. Like, that is honestly the goal. And I do have a criticism of Team Trump.
Well, they have major criticisms.
They are ruining. I'm convinced Team Trump isn't Team Trump at all. I am convinced that, outside of Don Jr. and maybe a handful of people, that they are actually even Team DeSantis. I really feel like they're Democrat psyops. I really do, because some of the shit that they say, Laura Loomer needs to. If Elon Musk, I know he doesn't like Trump, so he's going to promote Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer is being fucking stupid. And, she's always had her over-the-top persona, right? Yeah. But she is not helping Donald Trump in the slightest. And Trump doesn't need anyone to not help him on social media. He does a great job of it on his own. Yeah. Just the dumb things that people were saying and the way that they, why are you attacking Ron DeSantis? If you're Team Trump, let Donald Trump do what he wants. You guys take the high road. Take the high road and be like, DeSantis has been a great governor. He needs to stay in Florida. We know Donald Trump is the better option for the national scene. Ron DeSantis needs to sit back, enjoy Florida, enjoy the weather, keep doing it there, because he's not ready for the big time. They don't have to. The attacks are dumb of what they're doing to DeSantis.
Team-wise, I would say yes. But the thing is with Trump is that's not Trump's style. Trump himself, he can't
do it on his own. No,
Trump can do it on his own. He literally can't do that. That's not him. He literally. I don't think it's in his ability to just not attack.
But Dave, what was it always with Team Trump? When it was even 2015, 2016, everything like that, even as a president, Donald Trump says what he wants. Team Trump kind of cleans it up on social media. That's what it was. Now it's Donald Trump says something, Team Trump tries to double down and go worse, go further.
Yeah.
It's not going to help Trump. And I get it.
No.
Twitter is not real life, but Twitter gets news, and news then goes into the real life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if these people are saying these things, what is the mainstream media going to do? They're going to grab all this shit from the Team Trump people, from the MAGA people.
Yeah.
They're going to say, look at this. They're being ridiculous. Do you really want this?
I also do wonder, because I do feel like every single election, not even just general election, we have gone further and further into less trust of any institution, to delegitimization of everything possible.
Yep.
So yeah, mainstream media can grab that stuff. They could say whatever they want. Who trusts them? Who trusts them?
A lot of people, Dave. Boomers trust them. Boomers trust the hell out of them. And there's still millions of boomers.
Depends on who the boomers actually, who they're voting for.
But
That's the thing.
But a lot of still your Clinton Democrats are still voting just on blue.
Yeah, but they would never.
Democrats are
they
just
wouldn't
on
change.
blue.
But they wouldn't change in the first place. What the issue is that I'm saying here is that there is no mainstream media or any source that is going to change someone's mind.
It's true.
In any sense.
Now, what about Fox News? Because Fox News is going to go against Trump this election, 100%.
But it doesn't matter. But they're not going to change anyone's mind either. That's the thing. There simply aren't. All the mainstream media situation, you look at how hated they are. In general, they are changing no one's mind. Whoever's watching is watching. Whatever base is there is already fucking there. They're not going to move an inch unless something were to happen to them that they saw that was incorrect in the main. Because that's the only thing that changes people's mind. There's a breaking point with the media, with other things. That's the only thing that changes people's minds. They're not going to shift from that base. So I don't think they even do much during this election. I'm not going to lie to you.
Your take is good there. I think that you have a point. We'll find out. Because people do turn to legacy media for a lot during a lot of things still. And I think it's kind of instinctual. And a lot of independent media talks about legacy media still, which, helps them. It helps them in a way, because even if they're making fun of them, it still puts eyes on them.
Yes.
So we'll see. Overall, Team Trump and Team DeSantis, you're all stupid. Honestly, you're all stupid. Yeah, you're not helping anybody. You're really.
This is why I'm just chilling. I'm not going to talk about any of it. I'm just going to watch what they're doing, the candidates themselves, and then decide from there.
And I'll say this before we go on to our nerdy stuff. I am starting, restarting blogging. I'm going to have the Alex Cuesta Show blog, and I'm going to do a post soon about how never Trumpers and rhinos have actually been the reasons why Republicans have lost elections. I'm tired of these fucking people, because they're constantly on Twitter talking about how Trump cost things in 2018, 2020, 2022, when they just need to turn around and look in the goddamn mirror. That if they didn't exist, if they weren't doing what they were doing, Republicans would have rolled in the last 3 elections. And I don't even count the Lincoln Project, because the Lincoln Project just showed they're a bunch of leftists. Bill Kristol showed he's a fucking leftist. And I was happy that Rush Limbaugh was alive when this happened, because he called all of them out, and they were all his contemporaries, all sucked Rush Limbaugh's dick constantly. And then the moment it comes out, they flip, and he's just like, you guys are all stupid. So I am gonna write an article. I have a bunch of things coming up with that. I have things about how leftists just want the country to be the capital district from Hunger Games. So we got things coming in the works. Well, David, I don't know if David writes, but he doesn't write. I might get him to write something. I don't
do a singular thing. I do nothing.
You are useless. I do make you think of topics, and which is where
I loaf around.
We're gonna jump into some of the nerdy stuff, Dave. Your realm is actually about to feed you pretty well in the gaming world soon. Because when it comes to the gaming world, AAA games outside of Nintendo, the fighting games have still been pretty good in the AAA realm. They've
good enough to play.
They pulled it
offline.
Yeah, at least offline. They pulled their weight. They've done a good job. Mm-hmm. Even some of them having some decent stories. So, Dave, I want to go in terms of worst to best. You want to do that? We'll talk about what I believe. And you can kind of go with that.
What you think is worse, because you watched all 3 trailers
recently tonight
for the recent fighting games that are coming out. You can go from worst to best. What do you think is worst to best?
We'll start off. We'll talk about the one. We'll kind of go back. So we want to talk about Street Fighter 6, MK1, which is kind of a reboot, but not.
MK12.
MK12, but it's MK1. And then Tekken 8. So, number one, fucking awesome with all these franchises still going. I'm going to get that out there because it's pretty dope that we're continuing to talk about these three.
And being big. That's not easy. It's
being
not easy
big, being relevant, and not changing a whole much of their models and how they do things. Mm-hmm. But we're going to get on the change because I want to talk about Street Fighter 6 first. And I know this is going to piss some people off because there is a large contingency of Street Fighter fans. Just go on Twitch and just go like on the Twitch board. You'll find Street Fighter, people still fighting and streaming Street Fighter 5 and things like that. I watched this trailer for Street Fighter 6. And I will say this. There's supposed to be a story, apparently. I have no idea what it is. They're trying to do things, and I feel like they're modernizing for no reason. There's, I guess, in the gameplay, the story mode, you have your own creative custom fighter, right? That's what it looks like. It doesn't look super customizable. It looks like you can kind of do your clothes in a little bit, but you kind of choose like a base looking character, and then you can customize certain things. You're essentially running around a little bit of a world. And, from what I got in the trailer, you can kind of challenge people on the fly and fight them. And I don't know, Dave, the fighting to me, we were talking about this before the show started. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look like Street Fighter. It's very, you mentioned this, it's slowed down. They have the classic moves, but it's not hectic. And that's one of the things that games like Capcom, in general, Capcom games, Capcom fighting games, Marvel vs. Capcom, Street Fighter. I don't know if Capcom did Persona, but it was similar to that sense. Dragon Ball Fighters, that messy, and I don't know if Capcom did them either, but just that messy style of side-scroller fighting that, it's aesthetically appealing, bizarrely. That's not there right now. The models are a little stiff, and I expected better, Dave, out of Street Fighter 6. I think looks like they might have taken some steps back. Now I need to see gameplay. I need to, actually play it a little. But just from that trailer, I'm not intrigued to go out and buy this game. What do you think about Street Fighter 6?
Which is fair off the trailer. I actually didn't watch a trailer, but I have seen gameplay. I have seen some animation, stuff like that. I don't think it looks too bad. It looks like a bit like 4. I didn't play 5. I played a good bit of 4. But it looks a bit like 4, a little bit backed out, zoomed out, and around the same speed, maybe a little bit quicker than 4 was. But I do find it seems like that they are trying to improve the way the fighting is, and some of the moves and all that they're doing, and some of the new characters that they're putting in. And the way some of their old characters act, like Zangief seems to really act like a pro wrestler now, which is funny. But I am interested to see what it comes out to. I don't know if I'm going to get it. Like I said, I didn't get 5. I don't know if I'm going to get 6. Maybe I will. But, I mean, I enjoyed the hell out of 4 when I played it. But, like you said, when I brought up that, 2 and 3 were fast. Street Fighter used to be a fast fighting game. You shot, like, just clocked out rounds, and
that was a part of the appeal.
Yeah, and it was fun time. So I think, they already, whatever fans that were diehard about that, they already lost. So I don't think that's necessarily a loss for them with Street Fighter 6 still not being that fast style. But I am interested to see what the initial impact of this game dropping is, and what people think about it just in general.
Another thing I noticed too, the backgrounds. Usually Street Fighter backgrounds, you have these like fans watching. There's a lot usually going on. Even in the less fan-oriented scenes, there's a lot going on. Mm-hmm. And that kind of adds to the hectic mode. Now, when you just engage in somebody, you're in a crowd. So there is that crowd there just watching you quite literally street fight, right? But there were times when you were watching like the main characters fight, and it was not that same feeling. It had more of like a still background, where more of a MK, Tekken, Soul Calibur background field. Not even DOA, Dead or Alive, because DOA is very hectic in a way too with the backgrounds. But it I don't know. It doesn't feel like Street Fighter, which is disappointing because, one of the main things that brought people to Street Fighter versus MK versus Tekken because it had its own flavor. Right now, it kind of has a little bit of like an Injustice feel with the way they're not with the stiffness, because Injustice was really stiff.
Yeah.
These guys have a little more fluidity, but just kind of the way it looks and it fights a little bit like Injustice to me.
Interesting. It's an interesting aspect from someone who's like more into the older fighting games than I am. It's an interesting aspect to look at it from.
Just the way that they move and the way the hits go, and you would expect better. PS5, next gen game, AAA at this point. Obviously, they take time in between their games. Street Fighter doesn't rush their games out. I expected better. Let's go on to the next one. MK1, MK12 essentially, but MK1 kind of the reboot, but not. Looks like a dope story. Ed Boon gets a ton of credit because the stories are always there. Now, there are some hit or misses, right? You go from Deadly Alliance, which was amazing, to the one with Onaga or whatever. It wasn't
Deception.
Deception. It was okay. Not great. Onaga was kind of there, but not like you kind of get them. He takes chances. This one, but it stays linear. They always have a pile onto each other. The story is linear. This one's interesting. After spending a few games in the middle there, taking Liu Kang out a little bit, Zombie Kang and things like that. Liu Kang's back to being the forefront. Kung Lao's heavily involved again, which I love. They're basing it around the two Shaolins, which is great. This is the most badass I've ever seen Liu Kang. He's a god.
Yeah, you missed him in 11. Yeah, that's when he became the god.
Yeah, he became the god, and I know a lot of it was based around him in 11 too.
Yeah.
But man, just watching him god out and be like a time controller and all, it's really cool. The gameplay looks good again. It looks like the same style that they've been going with, the more realistic but not fighting. The fatalities look fantastic. Just as brutal as ever, which is very MK. And it looks like you can get a fun and enjoyable story out of it.
Yes.
I think it looks good. I think it looks like a solid MK game. It looks like something I would enjoy playing. And you know what it also looks? It looks difficult. For whatever reason, it looks difficult, which I like. I think we need to bring back difficult games. So I think it looks good. I think it definitely is going to be a top contender or high seller this year.
Yeah, you know me. I'm an MK fan. That's my favorite fighting game. So I do have a bias here. But I think it looks pretty good. I'm excited to see like what gameplay is like straight up from like specific people and what actually is going down. Because lately, they're not NetherRealm anymore, but the studio with Boone and all of them, they've been playing around with the way they're doing their fighting where, you could delete and add moves to characters, and you only have so many slots you could really fill in there, and really trying to mix up how you could actually play as a character, which is interesting. I think there's a hit and miss aspect to it because there's parts of it that I really like Baraka and MK11. I just gave him all fucking flag moves and I just called it Flag Day. It was a fun ass time. But
you could troll people.
Exactly. And it's so you can have a lot of fun with it, but I also feel like there is a certain aspect to when you're given a character and you're like, figure them out fully. Like you're given so many, like you're given all this stuff and it's like, just figure them out and figure out everything you could do. Like you don't, not adding things and not removing.
And you just go with the typical down right square, down back square.
Like,
down right. You go through all of them to figure out where their moves are, what they are, forward, back. Like you do all those types of things.
Yeah. So I am interested to see what they're going to try this time because they have from each Injustice and MK, they've tried something a little bit different every time in what they're doing with the gameplay. So I am interested to see what is Boone and them thinking of for this one. And one thing that I believe I noticed, because I watched a trailer a little bit ago, but some of the fatalities, and it might have just been in the trailer, look like they actually died down some of the over-the-topness and a little bit of goofiness that
a little bit
becoming of MK they were doing. I felt like they were doing a little too much sometimes, and I like that. I like sometimes a really quick,
a little
brutal
more brutality.
Kill works for a character.
Yes.
Like for me, like a character like Jax, big ass metal arms. The man just wants to kill you and keep moving. For me, I don't know. I would like Jax.
He's a soldier. He just wants to kill you and go.
Exactly. Like, there's some people who do not need these really over the top fatalities. It's not like I hate them, but I would like a damn good mixture of them. So I'm hoping that's a thing.
Cool thing if they add like simple fatality or like over the top. Like if you had a choice with which one you choose for that like that moment.
Well, generally, what I started doing was just using brutalities as much as possible, because a lot of the brutalities are really fun as well.
We just need more babalities. Bring back the babalities. Turn them all into babies.
They did have babalities. They brought them back.
I love the babalities. I didn't play 11. I love babalities.
Yes.
The curious thing that I'm looking at too now that I think about it is, because you can kind of, the way they made it seem like you can kind of, in a thing that you like, Dave, BioShock way, you can kind of choose if you want to be good and try and live a peaceful existence or be evil, because they have like two. It looks like there's like possibly like you could make choices and then the game probably progresses from there. But like it looks like there's two designs for each character. So will each character play differently? Will you have a little more of a brutal side if you choose to be a dickhead? Or will you have a little more of like a more subdued style? Still deadly, but more of a subdued style, which I think could be something they play around with there.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
but I like the way you think.
Well,
that would be really cool.
You see the Sub-Zero and Scorpion. They come in there. They're both ninjas.
Yeah,
or brothers in arms. They both are masked off. So it's like they did that with every character had two versions of themselves.
Yeah, I think that was mainly just them playing with the old universe and this universe. But if they did that, that would be really fucking cool. Like that would be, especially if they did it well. If it wasn't shallow, if they did it well and things are fleshed out, that would be a lot of fun.
Yes,
but I didn't see that, but I like what you saw there. That's really cool.
Liu Kang said, "Make your choice: live peacefully, or live by disaster." But either thing that you choose, there will always be something to fight for. So it kind of makes me look like the story, like because Liu Kang controls both, right?
Yes.
And there were two Kung Laos, so it's like, can you choose your path, and does the story kind of differentiate? And come in at the end in general, but does it differentiate based on your choices? And that would be dope if they have two different fighting styles. Now, one thing they did in the past for a few games was you had like two different fighting techniques plus your weapon, which this could be something similar to that, right? If you're good, you have a different fighting technique. Bad, which was pretty cool because they took time in those other games to actually do the proper stances, do the proper punching.
That was a lot.
And
a lot of weird 3D stuff. So
weird 3D, but very technical, right? Like when you're watching Scorpion use Hapkido, he's using it properly. Like when you're seeing so it was, I'm wondering if they're going to do that. And if that is an aspect, I think that could be really cool. If you have an evil or a good version of each character, or, aggressive, passive version of each would be dope.
Yeah, that would be really dope. That would be really, really cool.
You're gonna go and rewatch the trailer probably soon again.
Now I'm like, he did mention that.
He mentioned it a few times, which is why I'm thinking that might be an aspect of it, or they might just include it where you're living through two realities, which could also still be dope.
Yeah, but that's a really cool idea. We'll see if they do that.
If not, let's just make a game that does it.
Yeah.
Indie people, former AAA guys that make indies now, just make an MK that way. Anyway,
easy.
Easy. Just spend 9 years doing it on your own. But so lastly, I want to talk about the one that possibly had the most simple and easiest trailer to watch, but also got me jacked the fuck up. The Tekken 8 trailer was just simple. It was the classic rivalry, which now am I losing? Who's Jin's rival? What the fuck is his name? Jin versus...
I believe it's Kazuma.
Yes. Jin and Kazama. Just standing there, looking normal with their sprites.
My bad. Kazuya. I'm getting a lot of names mixed up in my
Jin
head.
and Kazuya. Yes, you're right. Sorry, Tekken fans. But the whole thing was, Dave, just those two fighting. And just showing the advancements in how that they move in these fights. Mm-hmm. And in typical Tekken fashion, it's all about angles. It's all about where you're punching, where you're kicking, when you do it, which, the Unreal Engine for since the late 90s has been doing this. and been doing it better than anybody else, which, you know, why DOA is so fun, why Soul Calibur. And, you know, when you get a new Tekken, what does that mean, Dave? New Soul Calibur. Yeah. So Soul Calibur fans rejoice. But just to watch that fight, go and watch that trailer. If you're any sort of a Tekken fan, it just looks like pure, beautiful Tekken. And it looks like it's just going to advance their rivalry and their story a little more. You're going to get another version of King. You're going to get another version of a Jackbot. You're going to get Yoshimitsu. You're going to get Heihachi. You're going to get all of them. And it's just going to be a fun romp. It's going to have a fairly decent story, not fun enough to follow and do. Yep. But then you're just going to get to figure out all of them again and see who's what works, what doesn't. And the online play is always fun in these. So, you know, yeah, just from watching them fight, Dave, I'm jacked up about the Tekken 8. It might make me dust off my PlayStation 4. It might.
If it's sold on PlayStation 4, we'll see.
They should, damn it. What did you think? Did you watch the trailer at all? Have you seen? Oh, you watched it with me.
Yeah, I watched it with you.
What did you think of it?
I think it looks like Tekken.
Yeah.
And that's all it needs to be. That's literally all it needs to be. It just needs to be Tekken. It needs to be fun. And that's all I want from it. It's because Tekken's the type of game where you could be really, really, really good and just decimate people.
Yes.
But also, it's a type of fighting game that you could have a friend, both of you have never touched a Tekken in your life, then you sit down, you play it, and you have a ton of fun with it. It's not one of those games where you're like, oh, they're not doing anything. No, they're doing something. You might be missing wildly, but it's also funny to watch. Yes. And you're having fun because it's like, oh, it came back. And Tekken's a great game to just have fun with and also master. Yes,
and also the rule will probably stay true. If you're an experienced Tekken player, do not let your unexperienced friend be Eddie Gordo. It is no fun for anyone. Eddie Gordo is a dick. His corporeal style is just dumb. Breakdancing, corporeal, it's just ridiculous. And it stays ridiculous every game, which is why we love Tekken. We're going to move on from the fighting games, though, to just hurting me. Just, Lord of the Ring, Gollum. Apparently
it should never be rings.
Apparently we've lost some. Dave, we've lost them.
Yeah.
They went away. Finally, the men have fully died. They took their rings with them. The dwarves just said fuck off Middle Earth and they left. Apparently Galadriel's just hanging out in the Second Earth and the Second Age and Rings of Power, and Elrond's just doing whatever the fuck he wants. So those elven rings are gone too. We just have one. Just have one now. God, I hate everyone that has any idea, any concept of doing something Lord of the Rings. Like Peter Jackson, Paramount, don't do it. Please don't.
So what Alex is referring to here is that a game came out, Lord of the Rings, Gollum, I believe by a random German studio. I actually don't know who they are.
I do. There's some small-ass studio.
I have not played this game. I will not play this game because I don't want to put any money into this game. I have seen gameplay. You could look up gameplay. You could look up anything about this game. It is absolutely terrible. Or I think it's already worst game of the year. Redfall might not be the worst game of the year now, which you might not know about, Alex, but that was another disaster. This seems worse. It's so bad that the company themselves, the game company themselves, sent out an apology letter. But the reason why we're referring it to as Lord of the Ring is because in that apology letter, they said Lord of the Ring Gollum.
So here's a theory I saw as I was looking. I watched a few gameplay trailers. I couldn't believe the first one. There's a theory that
he looks terrible too. I get it. It's younger.
His all look bad.
It's younger Schmeagol, younger Gollum, and he has the hair and whatever. But he just looks terrible.
It's bad. But the theory is that they were told they were making a point and click game.
No.
And that then they were told it's not point and click, and that they had to make a world, and that they rushed, and they spent most of their money getting the IP to make a point and click game, and this is what we got left. Gollum pretending to be Prince of Persia while looking like PlayStation 1 Prince of Persia. Like honestly, it sounds terrible. Gollum does not sound good. The story is to just shove people. It's like a young Gandalf for some fucking reason in there. Sauron's in there. It's an abomination, honestly. You want to know why they made this game, Dave? Because they made this game for everyone to not hate Rings of Power for like 10 seconds. That's why they did this. So there could be Amazon paid the studio. The studios are probably like, no. We're not going to make this game. We're confused. We thought it was going to be point and click. And then Bezos probably came in and was like,
you need to make this.
Pay you.
You need to finish this game.
Finish this game, but don't actually finish it. Just make it fucking broken. So I watched a review, and this guy was actually trying to be nice, and he couldn't be nice to the game. He couldn't. He said the controls were bad. They constantly like failed, causing him to die.
I've seen so many random deaths, so many.
When you're trying to move, it'll do random things. Like you'll just start sprinting out of fucking nowhere. Like, and like, he said there were like some points that like seem like it could be cool. Like you have an inner monologue between Smeagol and Gollum trying to argue. He's like, after the third time, it gets terrible. Like you hear everything. And he said there were some aspects that seemed like it could have been good. And then it just wasn't. Like every time it had hope, it let you down. And that just seems to be all IPs, especially Lord of the Rings lately.
Yeah, I don't know who was clamoring for a game about Gollum. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know who would ever ask for a game about Gollum. You could have so many things from Lord of the Rings to make a game of, and you made a Gollum game that's supposed to be a stealth game.
It's Metal Gear Solid with Gollum and no guns.
Terrible. That's awful.
From NES graphics.
It was doomed from the start, and then they somehow made it worse, which is amazing.
The trailer is incredible. It's like the story untold. It's like, yeah, because nobody fucking cares.
Because no one wants to hear it.
No one cares about Gollum. Like he's an important character. Don't get me wrong. Like he's a very important character in the whole grand scheme, but it's because he's kind of a dick. Like Gollum is not anybody that we don't feel like. Yeah, we feel a twinge of sympathy as he's falling into the lava. You know, spoiler for anyone that has
spoiler.
When he's falling into the lava, chasing after the ring, it's like you feel a tiny bit, but it's like kind of the perfect ending. The asshole tried to kill Frodo 6 times. Like, like you're no.
It's really funny. I've said this to you, and I've said this to plenty of people. I laugh at bad things, especially with franchises that are good, and then horrible things happen because people don't care about them. And I want my favorites to have that happen to them. I can't wait because I'm really pulling for Netflix to go ahead and make that BioShock series. I need to see what happens to that goddamn thing.
This would be like making like a BioShock game just only being a little sister.
That'd be
it would be bad. It's like, what would the fucking point? You would like walk around, just Big Daddy would just grab you and walk you places. Yeah, and then you'd go and wander like a little shit. And then Big Daddy would defend you, grab you, and walk you places. Like maybe we need this game. Maybe we need a slice of life little sister game. BioShock. Because you're just gonna be being alive.
Oh man. Yeah. This is monumental. It's incredible that we got 2 of these so far already this year, where games came out and they're just terrible, buggy messes, everything's awful about them. So it really is. I hope it doesn't happen again, because
you know what, do it.
It's just
the Spider-Man game is going to be awful. This is the trend.
No, it doesn't look like that.
This is the trend. It's going to happen.
No,
the Spider-Man game is going to be good. The first one was really good. This one's going to be good. And the thing, again, what annoys me the most, and this kind of lumps in Gollum and rings of fucking shit. There is so much source material. Like there is so much source material, right?
Yeah.
There's no need to make a new story.
Well, and it's funny because you've seen Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, right?
Yes.
Those games.
Yes.
And those games are generally pretty good. The system in it, the Nemesis system, is really fucking good, with them remembering you and everything, coming back better if you didn't. Awesome idea and concept.
Yes.
And you had actually like decent Lord of the Rings games. It
was based around the lore. It felt like Lord of the Rings the whole time. The things that they were talking about, the things that they were doing, the references to the places were legit. And it was all based around things that happened.
And it had action in it. And it wasn't fucking Gollum.
You're telling me sneaking around climbing things with the Prince of Persia engine from the original fucking game isn't what you want, Dave?
No.
No?
Surprisingly enough, it is not what I
No,
want.
you're not trying to rehash friggin' that. It's just.
We can move on if this is making you too unhappy.
It's just there's so much source material. There's the whole lost, the Tales of Middle Earth. There's the Children of Huron. There are all the stories in the Silmarillion. There's even parts of Lord of the Rings they didn't cover that you could have went, and you chose Gollum. Thanks, guys. Thanks for making me hate Lord of the Rings.
I love it.
I hate it. I hate it. Speaking of things that people didn't hate, I still haven't seen it, so it's kind of blasphemy. The Mario movie has reached $1.2 billion in sales. Second highest grossing animated movie
Past Frozen
of all time. I mean, Dave, what does this tell you? Just stick to the shit again with Gollum, with Lord of the Rings. Make it feel like the product that people fell in love with, and you will have success. Mario, Chris Pratt made him feel and sound like Mario.
Yeah.
Jack Black was an amazing Bowser. Seth Rogen was a good Donkey Kong. Like, it was Mario in real life, and just a movie. It was great.
And the thing is about the Mario movie is really it hit higher than I believe it should have in sales. But I think, one, it came out at a very good time.
Yes.
There's not many movies out in general, and there's not many good kids movies that people are taking their kids to see. Most kids didn't care about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And because it played a lot to fans, but usually it doesn't give you this type of sales. It doesn't give you this much. So the movie, though, looks gorgeous. The animation is so damn good. You can follow along. It's colorful. It's pretty. And there wasn't much of a story, but you didn't need much of a story. Things were happening on screen. Kids could enjoy it.
When I saw it, just kind of looked like if you took Super Mario 64, that world, and then just put it on screen with the newer animation, because Super Mario 64 was extremely vast, especially for the time. Mm-hmm. And it was very colorful, very vibrant, very interactive, and everything. So, when
energetic, I would say, is also
very. And when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at essentially if they just, they do those weird things where you're looking at a screen, like Wreck-It Ralph does it, where it's bring you into the game. Yeah. Kind of what this looks like if you just kind of were brought into this, Super Mario 64 or Super Mario Odyssey, any of those games, thrown into them, and here you are. And I also heard that Key was just an awesome ride or die Toad.
Oh, yeah. All of them did pretty well. The only one that was slightly annoying was Seth Rogen. That's because when he laughed, the Donkey Kong was literally laughing like Seth Rogen, which, God damn it, why can't he do something different as a laugh?
It's his trademark.
But yeah,
besides being a psycho.
Yeah, the whole movie itself, people weren't going to walk out of it and say that they just had a terrible time. That's the thing. They're not going to walk out of it and say, most of the time they're going to walk out and their kids are usually going to enjoy it. They're usually going to want to play a Mario game. They're usually going to want something about Mario.
The uptick in Mario shirts is real. The uptick in Mario shirts is legitimate.
Yes. And it does speak to just being whatever the source material is, but it also speaks to so they could have had this idea that Hollywood has had this idea with games consistently and a lot of things now, and go live action or make it look this type of way or make it look kind of realistic. Mario doesn't look kind of realistic. It looks like it belongs in that animation. It's a different type of animation for Mario, but it is a realistic animation for that spot, for that aesthetic. Mm-hmm. So they're not trying to make it look real. They're not trying to make it look like, oh, this is almost hyper realistic. He really looks like a person. No, he looks like Mario.
And I love the way that they explained it, that no, he's not short or weird. Everyone in his world looks exactly like this. Yeah. So it kind of like wrote off completely why it looks the way it is. That is real to him. That is his world, right?
Exactly. And it's the same thing with what happened with the Sonic movies. When, the first trailer came out, he looked fucking hideous because they kind of went hyper realistic with it.
Yes.
And then you just gave him his cartoony like face, and that's fine. That's all people want it to look good.
So, Dave, there's one flowing trend with these two movies, plus a movie like Detective Pikachu, which was fan-fucking-tastic. Nintendo.
Well,
obviously,
Sonic was technically not Nintendo. I don't.
Sonic was technically not Nintendo, but Sonic is now partially like he is a Nintendo property.
It's weird.
It is weird, I think but Nintendo defends their shit, right? They don't allow their stuff to be abused, and I think with along with being Nintendo, you had Miyamoto involved, and Miyamoto flat out said, it's Mario. It's going to be Mario. Didn't matter anything else. This is going to be a Mario movie. So when you have the creator involved that way, that is as passionate, like he is passionate about Mario. He wants to make every Mario game as good as ever. So yeah, everything. And that is the one underlying theme to these good movies like this is Nintendo being property. Again, we can argue whether Sonic, it's obviously a Sega property, but he's been a Nintendo property for years now, which started with Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Then Sonic has now been included in so many things in Nintendo lately. So that's the dynamic to me. Now, Dave, you wanted to ask the question about just video game movies in general, right?
Yes. I am interested to see what happens in the future with this, because studios are going to look at this and say, Mario, for some reason whatsoever, made a lot of fucking money.
Yep.
This made a lot of money in what is really a downturn in Hollywood. So they're going to try to find out a way to copy this. Now, whether that's let's make video game movies or let's make more animated stuff, I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to exactly try to do. But I do think they might try to dip in more with some of the video game stuff, saying, oh, maybe the people that play this will actually come out or have seen it will actually come out and watch these movies.
Yeah.
Now, we have seen tons of video game movies come out, and most of them are not very good, like at all.
Yes. So I think that you're definitely going to get that, right? I think this is going to be the Marvel DC. This is going to be the superhero boom and the shift, because as the superheroes are going down, gaming is big. You're going to get people that like that. Now, obviously, Halo sucked, but Halo was also done by a studio, right? And that was a
TV show.
And it was a TV show. And I've also heard the rumors that Nintendo is trying to make a Super Smash type of thing.
Yeah, no, they're making like a Nintendo universe.
So, in that sense, we're going to get Star Fox. We're going to get
Zelda. Metroid.
I am fucking pumped because they could do some. Metroid could be the best out of all of them. Because
all of them can be good.
As you know, I've mentioned people before. My job, I talk with a lot of people, and I talk with a lot of nerds in my job. And one of them, we were kind of throwing around. It would be like, wouldn't it be amazing if they did Metroid, where like the first quarter of the movie, like half of the movie, whatever. We all know Metroid's a girl. Spoiler. Sorry, guys.
Samus,
Samus is a girl. But in the beginning of the movie, just make it a long part where the helmet's not off. Nobody knows.
Well, no, the helmet shouldn't be off for a while.
It's going to be off for a while. And there should be a big reveal, but it could be done early, right? Because if it's early, then you can go right into the Metroid Prime story, which is arguably the best story about Samus ever. So you can make a whole thing where, there's the allure of like the first quarter of the movie. Samus is doing her thing and kicking ass. People directing people. Obviously, she's going to be the leader of like it'll be more military-esque, right? It's not going to be Samus solo like you do in the games. But then you can get into a story where the helmet comes off. Everyone knows the girl now, and then boom, the stories that like I feel like that could be fun. Star Fox could be incredible. Zelda, we'll see.
You have so much to do. That can be possible with Zelda.
Well, here's the problem. Can Hollywood have a story named Zelda where Zelda's not the star? Can Hollywood do that?
Yes.
Are they capable of not making it about Sheik and making Link the side character? Are they capable in that?
Hollywood's not. Nintendo is. That's my answer there.
That could be true. What do you start with? Do you start with Link's Awakening? Like, hey, it's curious where they go. Do they create an original story kind of like
I think they'll do a slightly more original story. I think it also depends on what they're going to do with the animation. I think it depends on where they want to lead it, whether it's going to connect in some kind of way to the other Nintendo properties in the future or whatever. That is probably their biggest thing to unwrap if they're going to do a Zelda movie, because that's extraordinarily difficult. Like, do you want it to be Ganon, like Big Pig Ganon, or do you want it to be Ganondorf? Do you want it? There's so many types, because all it is two things fighting against one other for the Triforce. Like, that's all it is.
I think you lean into Ganondorf. He's obviously the most popular version.
You could probably lean Ganondorf. You know, it's human-like. You could,
yes.
But
Kirby is gonna be great.
Kirby could be great. Like, there's so many properties that is under Nintendo that F-Zero. You make a Captain Falcon fun-ass racing, literally make a speed racer movie with Captain Falcon.
And then in the end, you have Game & Watch be Thanos.
I don't know about that.
You gotta make Game & Watch be the big bad.
And the thing is, they don't have to do, there really doesn't have to be any connection. They don't have to do a Smash movie.
No, they don't.
But they have so much material there where, you know, like I said, Mario doesn't have this in-depth story because it's extraordinarily difficult to tell any in-depth story of Mario. It's just he goes and saves Princess Peach from Bowser. That's all it is.
When does he become a doctor?
Yeah. But some of the ones that we were just talking about, Metroid, Star Fox, Zelda, they have stories that are a little bit
Earthbound.
bigger. Sure, they might not touch that one. But they have these deeper stories there that you could actually pick and choose what you're going to do to craft a genuinely good movie here.
Yeah, Kid Icarus could also be a really good one. Kid Icarus is fantastic. They do.
A ton.
They do have a ton of properties. And I like that Nintendo's dipping into this, right?
Yes.
I think the success of Detective Pikachu and all that really gave them like okay, we can step into this world and we can.
Yeah, especially now Mario.
And with Mario
did, it's like, okay, we'll probably pair an Illumination almost any time.
So what does Sony do? Because Sony has always had the answer, right? So are you going to go and try to do a Crash Bandicoot? Are you going to try and do a Spyro? Are you going to do a Ratchet and Clank, a Banjo-Kazooie? Like, they have another one that has a ton of properties to work with decent stories.
Funny enough, I'm actually happy that you brought those up because I think there is a bit of an issue here when it comes to some of these properties and making them into movies.
Yes.
When, for some reason, now I could be entirely wrong on this, I feel like for Nintendo, there is a lot of possibilities to make these properties into movies because a lot of these games aren't exactly story driven. They're driven by you just moving through the level. Yep. There's not a huge amount of cutscenes and a huge amount of things. Zelda, maybe with some of them, you see more story. But still, you could make a story that fits a movie that people want to go to instead of just saying, I'll just play the game. Now, I'm happy you brought up Spyro. I'm happy you brought up Crash. I'm happy you brought up those because those are older games where there's a little bit of a story, but there's not that much. You could possibly make a movie, maybe more Spyro and Ratchet and Clank. I don't know about Crash. Crash, that'd be fucking hard. I don't know what you.
Or maybe Banjo. Banjo will be a little different. The Banjo-Kazooie you could have.
Yeah, Banjo you could. Banjo you 100%.
Banjo actually was one of the better stories out of all of them.
Yes, but you have these other Sony products like you're gonna do a God of War movie. You could, but why would someone want to go see a God of War movie when they could probably just play the God of War games?
And also, Uncharted sucked. They tried.
Yeah, I didn't even see Uncharted.
And it would suck too because I watched it and Tom Holland looks great. He looks great and he has the personality. It was just a bad movie. It was kind of like Prince of Persia. Just a
wasn't
bad
Mark
movie with Jake
Wahlberg
Gyllenhaal.
Sully?
Mark Wahlberg was Sully and it wasn't good.
That doesn't make sense.
Doesn't at all.
He needs to be an older man. Yeah. But that's the thing though, is that Uncharted was going to be difficult in the first place because that game has much more story into it than other like the Nintendo
What
properties.
they did Tomb Raider, the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider was actually not bad. They did the later one with Carly Devang, whatever her name is. That sucked.
Yeah,
Whatever her name is. But that wasn't good. Those more hyper real ones, more realistic, since they're not campy, since they are more serious, are obviously going to be more difficult to do. Because like you said, that would be like creating a Metal Gear Solid, which, again, he kind of stole from Escape from New York and Escape from LA in a lot of ways. But you're not going to make a Metal Gear Solid game.
No. The movie, yeah.
A movie. Like, you're not going to make
no reason. Exactly.
The games are would have a significantly better story than any movie they can make.
Yes. Yeah. and that's the issue with some of the things that they choose to make stories out of or movies out of, is that some of these games, they don't tell the story in this linear fashion. That's why I'd be really fun to see whatever the fuck they're going to do with a BioShock if they do it, because most of the story isn't told in that game through just walking through it and playing. You have to pick things up and actually listen to them in order to find out what is going on.
Yes. So
when it comes to games that have that type of storytelling, it's not conducive to theater most of the time, unless you really find a way to make it work. Or, I've always had the idea, like, if you're going to do anything BioShock, just do a fucking prequel to Andrew Ryan, him making Rapture. That might be the only way I could see you making a good narrative story of it. But there's so much difficulty with those where you can't just piece together a movie that's fun. And
Spyro would have to be similar to Sonic.
Maybe.
Definitely have to be a more similar, gets caught in the human world, needs to have a human help him to go and save his parents from Ripto, who's trying to do something evil. Like, that honestly would be the only way it would work, and it wouldn't feel original. Right? So, like, I don't know if I could do that.
Well, yeah. I mean, we could talk further.
If you want to bring it into the real world.
Yeah. Which I don't know if I would do that. But either way, I am interested to see what happens with this, because I do think they're going to turn to video games now, and we're going to see a lot more bad video game adaptations come out. And I noticed we didn't mention The Last of Us, mainly because I didn't watch it, but everyone loves it.
No. Everyone loves the first few episodes.
That's true.
Hated the end of it.
Did they really?
Hated how far away it got. Like, fans of the game said it got far away from the video game.
It is funny. I didn't see much about the later episodes on
it got
Twitter.
Far away, and it stopped being good and started being more about messaging. They got into the woke bullshit. Listen, it's Pablo Pascal. Are you surprised? Yeah, he's in there. Not surprising.
That is interesting, though.
So,
but I remember there was big fanfare for The Last of Us.
There was.
Like I said, I didn't watch it mainly because I never played the games, so I never cared about the show.
I stole Jerry's game and never finished it, so so there's that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they go. Now, you talked about animation. Disney's getting destroyed. Pixar is getting destroyed.
They're getting touched.
And they were the two ones. You have studios like Illumination and DreamWorks that have absolutely been putting out banger after banger. Illumination with anything that has to do with the Despicable Me properties, right? Minions, all the Despicable Me's. And, you can just go look up Illumination movies. And the perfect example of how Disney is screwing things up, they got the rights to Ice Age. The new Ice Age was awful that they put out on Disney Plus.
I didn't realize. I forgot they were dropping a new one.
Terrible. It had nothing to do with the characters. Like, in their own fashion. But it's like, you look at what Illumination has done. They did a bunch of the Dr. Seuss's, but they did Sing 1, Sing 2, The Secret Life of Pets 1 and 2. Despicable Me 4 is ready to come out in 2024. They've done some great things. And then you go into DreamWorks. DreamWorks just dropped The Bad Guys. If you haven't seen The Bad Guys yet, go see it. It is incredible what these studios are able to do. They had The Croods. They had Baby Boss. They had a lot of good, and also Boss Baby, sorry. Puss in Boots. Hilarious.
The Last Wish, which I will go to my deathbed saying should never be as good as it is, but I will watch it anytime if anyone wants to watch it, because it is that good.
And Dave, we can keep going with them. How to Train Your Dragon, that whole series. Trolls is theirs. Kung Fu Panda is theirs. They have done The Guardians, Rise of the Guardians, which is extremely popular amongst kids. Turbo is one of the most underrated kids movies. Megamind. They have been for a long time doing really good stuff. And right now Disney's falling behind, because you want to know why, Dave? Those two studios aren't falling into the woke. They might have some of it in there. They might have some of the messaging, but we can be honest. A lot of the kids' messaging has always been a little campy, always been a little inspirational, always been a little accept this, be nice to everyone, moral of the story, don't be a douche type of thing, without constantly shoving it in your face.
Yeah,
they're still doing it very well, those two studios.
The vehicle is the story and the animation, not the messaging.
Yes.
That's what it is about them. And that's why you're seeing things come out and be good. Like, I mean, listen, I'm going to keep talking about it because I want to keep talking about it.
Go for it.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. You could pick out some messaging from it, probably. Like
Not even.
Maybe, actually. Damn, that's a good movie.
It's really just all typical moral of the story stuff. It's not necessarily messaging.
No. It is fairy tale stuff, isn't it?
Yes.
But still, either way, you look at the way some of these movies are coming out from DreamWorks and Illumination, and if it has any messaging, it's not a lot, and it's not ever really pushed in a way where there's like a line that says something specific.
Hollywood has always pushed this type of messaging, though, slightly.
Yeah.
So it's normal stuff.
Yeah, but it seems like they care much more about the animation that's going into it and whether or not the movie is going to be fun for kids, but also fun enough for their parents.
Palpable, yes.
So, and it seems like Disney and Pixar have just do not care, or because there's a whole thing about their VFX and their CGI and them paying people and not paying people.
They don't pay anybody.
So maybe that's a part of it as well, is that they're spread so far thin and they're not doing anything right, so nothing is coming out good either way. So they're getting torched by those two studios in that manner.
I'm here for every moment of it too, because in terms of the American animation, those two are doing a really good job. And this is not to mention just anime movies actually fucking them up too. Yeah. In terms of when they released the Demon Slayer movie, the Dragon Ball movie, the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, all of these maybe didn't have as big a box office numbers as the other Disney ones did, because smaller releases, but had no business making as much money as they did.
Yeah.
So it's we'll see. Disney's at a crossroads, and I think they're going to fail, and I'm here for it. Speaking of Disney, I saw the most recent Ariel movie, the Ariel Little Mermaid live action with Halle Bailey. Not
Halle Bailey. Yes, I know.
Bailey.
It's tough.
Change your name, please. But I have to say, what they stuck to with the source material, and I will put this out there, I did not buy those tickets. They were won and given to us, but because I would not have paid to go see that movie. But what they stuck to for the Ariel source material from the cartoon, they did very well, almost word for word, almost frame for frame at times. Really good. Javier Bardem is a really good King Triton. Halle Bailey sounds like Ariel, sings like Ariel. Again, she's black, Ariel's white. That's neither here nor there. She does a really good job being Ariel. I'll say that. Melissa McCarthy is a serviceable Ursula, sometimes a little over the top, but they did a decent enough job with her. What I didn't like was the added songs sucked. Absolutely sucked, top to bottom. The song about Eric running along the fucking cliffside, singing "Come Back to Me." It was basically like a terrible version of "Come What May" without any emotion. It was bad, and it was just so obvious, which is what they do, right, Dave? With all of these new songs, Jasmine singing about being an empowered full woman and then being like shut down the very next scene.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, she sang a song to I Won't Be Silent. It's like, bitch, you're the strongest woman in all of Disney already for bucking ancient Muslim trends. You could have gotten your fucking head cut off. You defied everyone. You're cool. Stop. We don't need a song. And then you have Beast singing Evermore about missing her and letting her go. Like, we got that. You did it. Yeah, like they add these stupid songs. Eric continued that trend. There was also a dumb song when Ariel was mute. And then you heard a monologue song from Harry Lee Bailey where they stole the whole scene from Tangled where Flynn Rider's bringing her into the world that she's never seen before. Quite literally stole that from that movie because now bringing her into this weirdly ethnic world of looking kind of like England, but it was extremely Islander and ethnic, also weird. They had all that going on. And then to have the scuttlebutt rap. Just dumb, unneeded, added things. The CGI animals were a little awkward, but the acting was good enough by them. The guy that played Sebastian was fine. He had the Jamaican Islander sound. He was good. Flounder actually sounded like Flounder. I guess her name was Aquafina, whatever the hell that chick's name is.
Awkward
Fina. I don't know.
Yeah.
But she also played Sisu in Raya, the Last Dragon. She was fine as Scuttle. They did the gender change, but it didn't make a difference. Well, the sex change, I guess. Didn't make a difference. She was good as Scuttle, but her rap was terrible. And, just minor things that you mentioned, Dave. Ariel having amnesia, I guess, basically from taking the potion. Ariel killing Ursula in the end. Spoiler alert, who cares? Killing Ursula in the end instead of Eric in the same way, stabbing a giant all-powerful sea witch and then her, like, friggin' falling into the ocean. Like, I don't know, Dave. What was good was good. What was bad really sucked. It was a mixed bag. Not their worst that they've done lately. Certainly unnecessary. Best way to put it. It's another unnecessary live action.
Yeah, I had no interest in seeing it. I'm happy I didn't because it sounds like the things they changed in the story just made it not the Little Mermaid anymore. And I heard the Scuttlebutt rap, and I'm very happy I didn't see it because I don't want to ever have to sit through that.
Oh, yeah, and Eric is apparently adopted and the queen is black. Like, you hear these things, and if you've seen the movie, you're probably like, wait, what? Oh, and Grimsby's a douche. Grimsby was not a douche in the cartoon. He just kind of was like Eric. He was just there to follow Eric, and he kind of had fun with him. Grimsby's kind of a dick. Like he's on his side the whole time, but he's so very he's like your typical rigid keeper. That wasn't him in the cartoon. They changed that, and Grimsby's Middle Eastern, and it's it's.
I think the thing that plagues the live actions for me is I don't necessarily see a reason to watch them over watching the original animation.
Yeah, there isn't.
What would be the purpose for me to watch them? If I want to watch Little Mermaid, if I want to watch Aladdin, if I want to watch Beauty and the Beast, if I want to watch any of these, why wouldn't I just watch the original animation?
Yeah.
So it's, yeah. And I mean, it's not technically it's not exactly made for me, but I also grew up with these stories, so it still is made for me. I would still go watch it if I really wanted to. But I had no interest in watching this for multiple reasons, and mainly because the Disney live actions haven't generally been good.
No, they haven't. Apparently they're making a Lilo and Stitch live action,
which is terrible.
To say, I will watch it if Nani has absolute cannon of legs and huge feet. If she doesn't have absolute thunder thighs and giant feet, then no.
I just know Stitch isn't going to look good. I know Pleakley isn't going to look good. I know no one's going to look good.
They wouldn't make Mushu. Why would they make Stitch?
They have to make Stitch.
Who cares? They had to make Mushu and they did it.
That is true. They did.
It was huge in Mulan.
Oh my god!
Half the story was about him getting his honor back.
Completely forgot they didn't put Mushu in Mulan.
They didn't put Mushu in Mulan. So why would they have to make Stitch? Just actually get a dog and make the dog Stitch. They might do that. Yeah.
I forgot that was a thing.
They didn't make Mushu.
Holy shit!
He's quite literally his secondary storyline is actually very important, and they didn't.
Holy shit!
Yes.
Yeah, we can end with that. I don't need to talk about these anymore. I blocked that from my fucking mind.
Okay. So that is actually what we're going to end on. Everyone, thank you for listening again. We should have a guest next week as long as they don't hate us, but most people hate us. But no, next week actually it's one of our reluctant, I guess, friends. He'll be coming on, but we'll have a guest next week. It's going to be a good time. If you like what you heard, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Tell them that not all politics all the time. We nerd out sometimes. And go find us on the socials. Go search The Alex Cuesta Show. We'll be there. But we'll be back next week, everyone. And I hope you appreciated this episode. Guestless, but still fun. Passionate. We love it. More passion than Ron DeSantis. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. So long.